Hello, good people at Pet Tutor. You see the Clicker Expo bag. Very hard to find a high-end professional trainer in America that was not completely familiar with your product. And I saw many clever implementations thereof, which perhaps we'll talk about at a later time. Do have some thoughts, would like to share. Let's go ahead and get some feeding done. You two, actually all of you, everybody can hit their boxes. They'll be rewarded for doing so. Jake Roush, great job. Let's give you a nice little treat. Ginger Tea, great job. Give you a nice little treat. We're missing one of these little boxes here. Let's start training again. See, they're not all showing up. So I'm going to give Ginger Tea another treat, and I'm going to give Jake Roush another treat, and then I'm going to reset. So this is not an uncommon occurrence. And we'll just reset like that. Once we're reset, though, chances are I'm going to get through this entire session without any further ado. I don't know if it's more reliable on the Apple product. Perhaps it is. But there we go. Now we've got them all showing up. And I like Ginger Tea's behavior. And I like Jake Roush's behavior. Good job. So let's get on with a suggestion of modification. Those two are enjoying the sunshine way too much to be distracted. So I am going to hit Jake Roush and Ginger Tea. Here are some suggestions I have for this remote. Right here you see it's going to look very similar. Under settings, we're going to have a place to put the default timer settings. These are the settings that are going to trigger when somebody taps that button, much the same way as they tap this button here. No further to do, just tap the button and it goes. No confirmation. The fact that it goes will be confirmation enough. And what goes is the default settings that are defined in the default timer setting buttons under settings. That's my idea. You could say also have a hold timer. You know, if you want to have different settings, I think my hold timer settings would be maybe starting out every 5 seconds and graduating, adding a few seconds each time until you're getting to where maybe it's once a minute you're rewarding. That would be my hold timer. That would be for really setting someone to a place where I want them just to be relatively content for the better part of 20 minutes or so. So that would be for me. And then I would just suggest that maybe there's plenty of room on this panel for 2 more timers, which of course could just be, you know, alternate C and alternate D in the settings. People could use those to set them up any way they want. Maybe the last one can be a spontaneous config right there, where they're not going to go into settings and do all that. They're just going to punch in the numbers similar to what you have now. So I really think that would be the #1 change I would want. Now, when I say default timer, not only are you going to trigger that with 1 tap, no to do, but also it's going to be what happens when you turn on the unit in the special way. I'm not a programmer, whatever the special way is. Hold down 2 keys, press for 20 seconds. I don't care, press for 2 seconds, whatever. The default timer is going to kick without any smartphone present. If that's all you need to do is begin the default feeding cycle, boom, you're done. If you want any one of 4 default feeding cycles that are individually set up under the settings for each individual feeder, if you want any one of those equally without to do are 1 tap away. Boom, boom, boom. Finally, and I hope you like this one, there is a spot for check for trigger all. I don't think trigger all is the right vernacular. I think what we want here is trigger some, maybe. You can see right now I would like to take 2 of these right off the check mark because I only have 2 dogs really right now that need to be rewarded, but I can't trigger all because there's only 2 dogs. I can go back and I can disconnect the ones that aren't there, but that's going to be not so convenient when they decide to show up in a few short seconds. So, I mean, I'm not saying, you know, now trigger all only pertains to those, but why not have that be a check mark? Anyway, the folks I talked to, like I said, generally speaking, there was familiarity with your product, really ingenious use of your product by the top trainers of America, including a particular example where a pet tutor was used when the right answer was given with respect to a conceptual counting training issue for a dog. And remarkable results were achieved. and a pet tutor, I think, played a pretty big role there. But also in the exercise realm, in the agility realm, the ability to use remote feeding, or in this case, what you're seeing is the ability to use precise feeding. What we have is 2 happy dogs. Those are happy dogs. I mean, I'm sorry, if you don't think they're happy, this is poor judgment on your part. And they're getting very precisely, individually treated for their trouble. That's more valuable than maybe folks realize. I did take every opportunity when a pet tutor was either shown or mentioned to raise my hand in strong endorsement for that fine product. So, hopefully, you will see that the pet trainers of America were flocking. All right, that's my idea. I hope you use it. Everybody said, hey, I shared some of my ideas with some of those guys, and oh my God, you should tell Wes. Do you know Wes? You should tell Wes. So Wes, I'm telling you, Mr. Anderson, these are the improvements. They're all going to they're going to flock to these. Imagine putting the presentation together. And I don't know, I'll show you examples of actual training situations where how nice would it be to be able to one-tap a situation and get a response from the pet feeder going that allows me to focus on the other pet feeders or one other pet feeder or whatever, right? What would happen if these changes were implemented, besides them I don't think being particularly difficult changes to implement, is the value for every single high-end trainer would go through the roof. I mean, the argument would be compelling and the presentation nothing short of genius. So, there it is. Sorry to rattle on, but this is for your eyes only. Have a good one.